the other note that I realized, and this happened to me like a year ago. Here in Italy, we went to really strict lockdowns for a while with the vid, and they started to slowly release it and whatever, and we got to travel again around regions, all that shit. So like I got here, I had about a year to kind of get out and explore, which I'm kind of slow and methodical when I do that. And then when the floodgates opened, I was all over the damn place, right? And I spent a lot of my time in lockdown, basically Google Map searching places to go and see. And I'm going to see all these million things when I can finally do it again. All that to say, like I saw some absolutely insane landscapes and scenery that were all completely 100% natural. And here in Italy, over in Switzerland, over in Slovenia, Croatia, Plitvice National Park, Plitvice Lakes National Park. If anybody ever gets a chance, you've got to go. It is insane. It's yeah, that's on Prosecco Road. That's like an hour away. That's easy. That's easy day. But I never had this experience before up until like last year when I was describing to somebody else. I was at work, right? Another motorcycle rider in the shop, and I was trying to describe to them just the scenery of a certain ride. And I had never become like it didn't happen, but it came real close. Like my eyes started welling up and I almost became overwhelmed with emotion. And it was all positive. It was all happy. It was like, it would be tears of joy, right? Just remembering the grandeur of some of the natural scenery here. It was like overpowering. And I'd never felt that before. And I don't know why. I can't explain it. I have no idea why. But I just love it so freaking much. And like if I had to describe some of the scenery in like one word, it would be dramatic, because it is absolutely dramatic. And everybody needs to see some kind of dramatic scenery in their life at some point, because it can have amazing positive effects, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but not for me. I know I'm right for me. What do you guys think about that? Have you guys ever experienced something like that?
Yeah, dude, that totally resonated. I threw my hand up as soon as I could because I was confused by some things that I felt with nature. So I was stationed in England for 4 years and traveled through Europe during that time in the kind of mid 80s, early 90s. Really great. Exactly what you're saying, just almost like overpowering how beautiful it was. So then how do I reckon that with, when I first got to Arizona and right out of tech school, that was my first base at Luke, and we drove up to the Grand Canyon. I'm like anticipating the Grand Canyon, it's going to be awesome. Grew up in the Midwest and everything, had no idea. It was like we got there, we pulled up to the tourist site, and pulled over and like stood there at the rim of the Grand Canyon. And I'm looking over it like this phenomenal thing, right? That's supposed to have this, profound impact on me. Like this is just unfathomable, And I was just sort of like, I just didn't feel it. And it really confused me. I went back several times because I lived like, a few hours away down the road. I would come back, like every couple months or whatever. And I just really could never figure out why something as beautiful as the Grand Canyon never really, jacked me up like the Alps. I don't know, what is it, a mountain thing versus a desert canyon thing, or what it is, but like Painted Desert and like different parts of nature that I've seen resonated more than others. That's a friendly way of saying it, but I don't know what it is, and I've always trying to kind of struggle with that. So when you say like talking about being in nature like brings you to tears, I'm on the other side of that being that sometimes I've been in nature where I have zero reaction to it, and I feel that's kind of messed up. Like what did I not get from going to the Grand Canyon that I got from going to, the highest point in the Alps, the Zugspitze, and just feeling like I wanted to, weep at the grandeur of it. Help me out with that, somebody.
Would it make sense, a little more sense, if I mentioned that I believe what you're describing has to do with what an individual identifies with the most as far as the 5 elements goes. We were walking yesterday, and just from the hit, Becca was like, "What do you identify with most? Earth, wind, air, fire?" Or I forget what the other one was. And that really stopped me. I was like, shit, I don't know. And I'm not trying to give answers. I'm actually bringing up more questions. Yeah, it is. So there are elemental aspects, depending what school of thought you subscribe to. However, I do believe there are reasons why some people gravitate towards oceans or water type of nature much more so than woods, earth, and forest, which I believe I fall under. I have never been one that's hugely comfortable on the water. I enjoy it. My father grew up on the Dalmatian coast of Croatia, southern Croatia. So he was an island boy. Island boy! Right? See what I did there?
I love that. And seeing some of the views of his backyard, like where he's at now, it's like, how could you not be? You know?
Yeah. So, and I might be waxing poetic a little bit, but and at the elemental level, I do think there is something there which more people are drawn towards. I don't think it's that obvious within the individual itself, but over a long period of time, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and talks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
Let me throw this in there too, because I totally get what you're saying. Like the age-old question: are you a beach vacation guy or a mountain vacation guy? You know, I'm definitely a mountain vacation guy, no question. Some people are like, no, dude, we got to be on the beach. We got to be on the beach. I'm not a we got to be on the beach. I'm like, it's cool if I'm on the beach, but I'm not really looking forward to a beach vacation. But you know, part of that is like, growing up in the early days of the Air Force, like at Luke on a bombing range or whatever, I loved the desert. I really loved the desert, and deploying to the desert, I felt like I was in my zone. It was like, no matter what, it was any Middle Eastern friggin' deployment we ever had, I feel like I never even got sick. The environment was just better for me. I just felt like healthier there. I love the sunset, sunrise schedule, the cycle of, you know, being able to go out and see stars and everything. I loved it and appreciated it, just very much like the deserts of Arizona. Could it be that it was just so much that it was too much for me to take in? Like, could the Grand Canyon be one of those places on Earth that is just too unreal to like be processed by the human eye? Or you know, was it that? Because I had no reason to not like the desert, because I liked every part of it when I was into it and touching it and exposed to it. But it almost felt like I just didn't get it because my mind was just not coping the grandeur of it. It would just seem like it was too fake to me or something. That's where I'm at with it. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can force a square peg in a round hole when it comes to that. I mean, I think there are some things that speak more so to others, but
and I've gone back.
Yeah,
I brought the family back like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and it was the same feeling. I was like, that's it. I mean, maybe I need to get down into it on a mule, you know, and like trekking around the creeks and stuff like that to really feel it. But
let me know. I'll join you.
But I got more out of like walking around in your property, I got that immediate feedback, like, oh, I'm in it, like turtle stones. We're out searching for turtle stones and stuff.
Yeah.
That was interesting to me.
And yesterday, that's kind of what Becca and I did to call it reconnecting, call it finding it middle ground or whatever, but that's kind of our go-to when things aren't so great in the house. We just kind of go for a walk, and I don't want to say reset ourselves, but yesterday doing it, we started finding so many turtle stones that we got it excited, and like our demeanor changed from how we went into it. And now, like, I love this conversation, but after we get done here, both of us are going to get bundled up. We're taking the general up to the side of the creek, and we're going to recover as many of the turtle stones as possible, bring them back here and clean and polish them up. So again, that's like one of the many things Warrior Path told us is, gratitude and win for the day, recognizing something. My win for the last 2 days was turning a lousy environment into something that my wife and I are both excited about doing together now. And that would not have happened had we not decided to go outside for a walk. So those are the opportunities that I've been talking about that aren't as obvious until one actually gets in there.
So you're bringing something into nature, and then nature's feeding back into that desire, that outcome that you're looking for. That's fantastic, dude. And maybe that's what I was missing with the Grand Canyon. In my mind, it was just a tourist attraction. I didn't have that. Here's what
almost like some
experience.
sort of level of interaction, give and take, so to speak, rather than simply observing.
Yeah. And like when I go to the Smokies with Mark, there's another level of just not being in the Smoky Mountains. Not just being there like as a tourist, but being there with a friend who's experiencing things that are just not related to being there,
Right.
So I think that's kind of where I was going with where we started with this thing. Is it the power of nature, or is it the power of us as we interact with nature? Maybe something to that.
Yeah.
And I haven't read that in any studies. I think maybe that's something we can develop as we go.
Yeah, I've got a couple books on my list that I would like to get into with that. Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. Well said. Well said. Brad?
I hit all the major things I wanted to talk about and bounce off you guys. So if you guys are good, I'm good.
Now we can probably stop recording right now and then see what's what and go from there. I'm going to have to get off here real soon here because we're running out of daylight.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording now.